Personal Narratives. The Prince of Los Cucuyos, The First Real San-Giving Day, by Richard Blanco. November came around, and my teacher, Mrs. Echevarria, handed out some ditto sheets to color for Thanksgiving. The pilgrims' tall hats I colored black, the buckles on their shoes gold, the cornucopias of squash and pumpkins, all kinds of oranges and yellows, the huge turkey, an amber brown, a turkey, not a pork roast like my family always had for Thanksgiving. As we colored, Mrs. Echevarria narrated the story of the first Thanksgiving, enthusiastically acting it out as if she had been there. Then the chief of the Indians told Pilgrim John, "We make big feast for you." And Pilgrim John said, "Yes, let us give thanks for our new friends and for this new land where we are free." My teacher seemed to understand Thanksgiving like a true American, even though she was Cuban also. Maybe, I thought, if I convince Abuela to have a real Thanksgiving, she and the whole family will finally understand, too. With new resolve and colored dittos in hand, I approached Abuela that night as she sat at the kitchen table, sorting through receipts and making a tally of her expenses. "Abuela, do you know what Thanksgiving is really all about? What it really means?" "¿Qué?" she said, without looking up from her notebook. "Thanksgiving," I repeated. She looked up at me blankly, and I realized she couldn't understand Thanksgiving in my properly pronounced English. So I blurted it out the way most Cubans pronounced it, as if it were the name of a saint. "San-Giving, Abuela. San-Giving." "Oh, El Dia de San-Giving. Yes, what?" she asked, and I began explaining. It was because the Pilgrims and Indians became friends. The Pilgrims made a big dinner to celebrate and give thanks to God because they were in the land of the free and living in the United States. "What are pilgrims? And those black sombreros?" she asked, looking over my dittos. "We didn't wear those in Cuba." It seemed hopeless, but I insisted. "Mira, Abuela, mira," I continued, pointing at the dittos again. "They had turkey on San-Giving, not carne puerco and plátanos." "We are Americanos like them now in the United States. We have to eat like Americans, Abuela, or else they'll send you back to Cuba." "Ay, mijo," she said with a laugh. "We're not Americanos, but no one is sending us back. We'll go on our own when that idiota Castro is dead, and not 1 second before." "But, Abuela, I don't want to go back. I'm American. I want to have a real San-Giving this year. Like this," I demanded, holding up the ditto. "You? Americano? Ha! You're Cubano, even though you weren't born in Cuba." She chuckled. "And what is that food in those pictures? I never saw a chicken that big." "That's not a chicken, Abuela. It's a turkey. Please, I'll help you cook," I pleaded. But she kept resisting. I had no choice but to resort to coercion. I told her I wouldn't go buy specials for her anymore at Liberty Mart, the big American supermarket. "If we aren't going to be Americanos, then why should we shop there?" I said. She took a long pause and looked over the dittos again before replying. "Bueno, let me think about it." She slept on it for 2 days before making a decision. "Maybe you're right, mijo. Maybe we'll try San-Giving, how you say," she conceded, with one condition. "But I will make carne puerco too, just in case." It was settled. That Thanksgiving, we would have turkey as well as pork. I was ecstatic, but the pressure was on. I knew I wanted us all to have a real American Thanksgiving, but how? Abuela certainly didn't know, and the dittos weren't enough to go by. I didn't know as much about Thanksgiving as I thought I did. I needed help. That week, Mrs. Echevarria had us make turkeys out of paper plates and construction paper. Surely she would know how to prepare a real Thanksgiving dinner, I thought. And so I asked her all about it. I know, she told me. My husband's mother does all the cooking for Thanksgiving. His mother is an Americana, thank goodness. I can't even boil an egg. Great. The next day at recess, I asked some of the American kids in class what they had for Thanksgiving. Turkey. What else, dummy? With stuffing, Jimmy Dawson told me. What's stuffing? I asked. He burst out laughing, thinking I was kidding. It's the stuff you put in the turkey, he tried to explain. Oh, you mean like candy in a piñata? I proposed. No, dummy. With bread and celery and other stuff. That's why they call it stuffing, he tried to clarify. Oh, okay. I pretended to understand exactly what he meant. Nancy Myers told me her mother always made pumpkin pie. Pumpkin? Like in Halloween? I asked, bewildered. Patrick Pilkington said his favorite dish was candied yams. Candied? With marshmallows? Like hot chocolate? On yams? I asked him. They each described the dishes as best they could, but when I asked them how to make them, they couldn't explain. I don't know, Jimmy said and shrugged. My grandmother makes everything. Great.